What happens when hope has left you and you just feel paralyzed? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the very first thing you should do when you're trying to regain your faith. But before we get down and go further, hit the like and subscribe button. And remember that this video is not just for you, but somebody who may need this message to move forward. Now, there's been situations where I've put myself in a bind, where I haven't done things maybe consistently, or I've been relaxed on my due diligence on some things I've had to do in life and just business. And there was a moment where I can remember I was trying to find a deal, trying to get a listing to make sure I could put food on the table for the next couple months. And I was just going. And I started to kind of wane in my faith. I started kind of thinking about like, man, things are just a little bit harder. Things are going in a direction that I don't know if this is going to work out. And not every time it works out, but have you ever been in a situation where you believe, but then you doubt at the same time? But that's what was happening to me. And I just kept going. And finally, all the phone calls I made, all the marketing I've been doing, nobody called. So you would think that, oh wow, what's gonna happen? What's going on? I should be discouraged. Yeah, I was discouraged. When you have kids and you have a wife, you have a home, it's my responsibility to provide. It's my responsibility to be there as a man and show up. And then one time some of my family came over and I was upstairs just working, and I got a phone call from a woman named Patience. She was now my CRM. I've never cold called her. She never received any of my postcards. And she said, Kingsley, and she said in her Nigerian voice, I am Nigerian by the way, but she said, Kingsley, I'm looking to sell my house. I was like, okay. I said, where you at? And she said, I'm down the street in Missouri City. I was in Missouri City. She was literally 3 minutes from me. And she's like, when can you come by? I was like, I can come by right now. So she's waiting for her husband to get home, waited about an hour, and I did the presentation, and I ended up getting a listing, and I ended up selling that home. And this is when the market was starting to shift last year. And the homes in the area had started to go around 60, 70 days on the market. But that deal closed in less than 30 days with them trusting me and guided and allowing me to guide with my professional expertise. But even when that deal closed, I had to think about one thing. The one thing was her name was Patience. And I believe to this day that God sent me that to be patient. One of the first things that you have to do when you're in transition or when you're trying to regain your faith, and I want to state it by saying this verse. In Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 10, it specifically talks about that God has appointed you over kingdoms and over nations. He said to uproot, to tear down, to destroy and demolish, to build and to plant. Now, the first time you look at that verse, you could be happy like, oh, he's appointed me over nations. He's appointed me over kingdoms. But the very first commandment he wants you to do is to uproot. Where our heart is, where our treasure is. And as I've been growing in my faith and as I've been growing in kingdom principles, I've had to understand that before we can change expectations, we have to uproot the beliefs that's been holding us down or being giving us a certain result. People, and I'm gonna say people, many of us always look to the glory. When we look at Instagram, when we look at TikTok, or even when we're looking at YouTube, we're looking at everybody post their highlights. We're looking at everybody posting what's going good in their life. But can I be honest with you right now? Most of the time, before you can post those highlights, real success is always in the valley. It's the hard work done in the dark when nobody is clapping. When people are looking at you, talking behind you, behind your back, or even talking to your face, saying, why don't you quit and just get a comfortable whatever. When we are trying to be faithful, we need situations that's going to produce the faith. Faith is not an act. Faith is not a word where you're sitting down waiting to be blessed, where you're going to the lottery thinking that all I gotta do is keep doing the lottery day in, day out, and I'm just gonna wait and hopefully get those lottery numbers to line up and I hit the jackpot. And the statistics show that even lottery winners, within 2 years, they lose the money. Why? Because they haven't uprooted what has been causing that certain belief. While you are in your season of transition, while you are in your season of transformation, understand, for that new wine to come in that wineskin, the vessel has to change. I've had to learn this the hard way. I've sit down thinking, what's going on? Being double-minded at times. And I'm speaking to myself right now. I've had to learn that to win the race, you have to endure. That the discipline, the due diligence, the commitment, the consistency is what produces your faith. Faith is an action. Faith comes by doing, not by sitting. While you are waiting for your due season to come, you're gonna have to make sure that you just keep farming. Whenever a farmer goes to go plant seeds, it's always messy. Whenever a rocket is blasting off to space, it consumes the most energy. Whenever you are transforming or you're becoming or you're waiting for something new to come in your life, it's going to require your hands get a little messy. It's going to require energy, the more energy to come from that. I've been doing YouTube off and on for about 5 years. The videos have sucked. How do I know that? Because I'm only getting 1 view. But I still had to keep doing. I still had to keep tweaking. I still have to know that if I'm committed to doing a video, if I'm committed to getting better, the universe has to yield all that reaping from that sowing I've been doing. I'm talking to the person who's looking for something to change in their life. I'm talking to somebody who, if we can be honest, that things haven't been going as you planned. I've been there. And to be frank, sometimes I still think I'm in those seasons where I'm thinking I'm taking a step forward, but sometimes it looks like I'm taking 2 steps back. But no, we cannot keep our mind in the past, and we can't overdraw on the success. But what you can do with your past successes is remind yourself that whenever you were trying to accomplish something, you didn't know when it was going to come. That's to be one thing. And 2, you didn't understand how it's going to happen, but it came in due season, in due time. So remember how God brought you through. Remember how when you needed something the most, it came. And it's not always going to be when you think. When I was doing track in college, my coach would always do a weed out session in the beginning. Anybody knew, us veterans knew that, hey, we were going to run about 10 or so laps. I don't know, it was a lot. We were in the woods just running. And it would always be a situation where the new people, some of them were like, I ain't doing this. This ain't for me. But as you kept going, it kept getting easier. And that's why I want to let you know today, sometimes you may be in the wilderness. Sometimes you may be in a situation where it's hurting. It's not looking good. But if you keep going, you're going to go to the finish line. So while you're thinking about your situation, take your mind off of that. Start doing. Faith is a production. And the only way you can produce is by doing. Most importantly, we're building something that people can revisit over and over if they need some belief, if they need to understand about success. So if this video touched you in a certain way, go ahead and pass it on to somebody who you know may need to hear these kind words. But until next time, see you soon.